Hello everyone, welcome back to another lesson of constructing Arabic sentences. This is lesson number 13.2. In today's lesson, we're going to continue what we have started in the previous lesson, which is giving examples on the three things that we did before, the three things that we explained before, the pronouns and possessive sentences and so on. But this time it will be in the past tense. So before we start, I just want to point out that we have changed the name of the channel from Homelang 1 to Kalima. So this is the new name of the channel. I hope it's easier and to remember and simpler. Also, as we did in the previous lesson, please go on and find the vocabulary list down in the description and read that before we start so that you are familiar with the words and so that I don't have to spend time explaining the meaning of each and every word I go through. Alright, so for the first example, we're going to try to translate this sentence. He used to be a player. He used to be a player. Well, I also said that maybe he was a player, because in Arabic it's the same thing. You say he used to be or he was, it translates to the same thing. So I'm going just to start the way we started before. To translate this is, the first step to translate this is by switching was with is and bringing the sentence back to the present. So he used to be a player becomes he is a player, and to translate that, we start with he, which is huwa. Player. Huwa la'ibun. Huwa la'ibun. Now, if I want to add was in Arabic, you just add kana. Kana, huwa, and then it has to be la'iban. La'iban. Why? Well, remember, kana, the first word after kana, or the thing that we are talking about, takes dhamma, and the piece of information takes fatha. Right? Right. Now, one thing to notice is that we did not change the ending of huwa. It did not become hu. It's still huwa. And that's because, like I said before, pronouns do not change pronunciation. You always pronounce them the same thing. So the pronoun will just not change to huwu, will always be huwa, and it will reject the dhamma. So the dhamma will become hidden. That's what we say. It's an implicit dhamma in a certain way. Good. So the sentence that we said it now is kana huwa la'iban. Kana huwa la'iban. There is something wrong with the sentence. In Arabic, the conjugation of the verb indicates the person who's taking the action. So there's no need to add a pronoun to say he was, right? So by default, when you say the verb, just the verb alone is enough to infer or to say who's taking the action, and in this case, he. So there is no need for a subject pronoun in a sentence that has a verb. So this produces a kind of redundancy, and we don't use that. So what you say is actually just kana la'iban. Kana la'iban. And what we say is that this pronoun is now an implicit, a hidden pronoun. A hidden pronoun. Dhamir mustatir in Arabic. Dhamir mustatir. So no longer it's visible, no longer it's written. It's there, let's say, in spirit. It takes the dhamma with it, so it doesn't become kana la'ibun. It still is kana la'iban, as if there's something here hidden, already took the dhamma. That's how it is. So basically, to translate, he was a player, or he used to be a player, it is kana la'iban. Kana la'iban. In Arabic, you just say kana la'iban. He was a player. Perfect. Now, let's talk about not any player, but some sort of ball player. Okay, so this guy plays with a ball. All right, so let's look at ball player alone. Okay, and now do you remember the possessive form in Arabic? What we call mudaf and mudaf ilayh. This sentences that I used to say that they indicate, for example, when you want to say someone owns something, and I want to say that the book belongs to Ahmed. So when I say Ahmed's book, whenever you say Ahmed's book, it translates to Arabic to a sentence in the form of Kitabu Ahmadi. Okay, always add, or Ahmadin, whatever, always add kasra for the person who owns, and normally nothing changes for the thing that is owned. So Kitabu Ahmad means that Ahmad owns the book, right? Okay. In Arabic, this structure is not called a possessive structure. It's called mudaf and mudaf ilayh, something and something added to it. That is to say that it is not specifically just for possession. It's actually more of a generic form of possession, meaning that if something belongs to someone, something is owned by someone, something is used by someone or something, or used for someone, all of these meanings you can actually put it in the structure of mudaf and mudaf ilayh in Arabic. So whenever you say ball player in Arabic, for example, okay, this as if you're saying, this is the way I like to think about it, it's as if you're saying a player of ball, some sort of ball, okay, player of a ball, or a player of, he belongs to the people who play with a ball. So whenever it's something of something, you can say it in this way, and that's why you kind of make it short and say ball player. Okay, this will translate to the structure of possessive in Arabic, the possessive structure of sentences. So it's mudaf and mudaf ilayh, and you will write it in the same way. So ball player will translate to as if you're saying player of ball. So in this case, start with a player. So it's la'ib, and then kura, which means ball. So la'ibu kuratin, la'ibu kuratin, la'ibu kuratin. So you see the kasra here, same as the one here. Good. So it's the same structure. So if you want to say ball players, as if you're saying a player of a ball. So this is how it translates in Arabic. It becomes la'ibu kuratin, la'ibu kuratin. Good. Now, how do you put this? How do you translate this now? He used to be a ball player. So it's almost the same sentence. We only need to put kana in front. So if I put kana here, la'ibu will become la'iban if I try to mimic this. But there is one major change here. Here, whenever you add tanween to a word, if you remember, that is an indication that the word is indefinite. But when you add this word to someone, so I say Kitabu Ahmed, this book is no longer indefinite. You're kind of defining it. You're kind of saying, oh, this is Ahmed's book, not any book. So the same way here, you don't say la'iban anymore. You just say la'iba, since we have to have kasra because we're using it with kana. So the sentence becomes kana la'iba kuratin. So he used to be a ball player, becomes kana la'iba kuratin. Kana la'iba kuratin. Alright, now let's be more specific and say it's a football. So the ball that he's playing with is not any ball, it's a football. Now in Arabic I can just translate for you the word football, but it's just to see the thing that I was talking about before, how the way that we translated football is similar the way we just said ball player. It's the ball of foot, in a sense. Doesn't make perfect sense, but it's as if you're saying it's a ball of a foot, the ball that's used by the foot in that sense, and it translates in Arabic to kuratu. Kuratu qadamin. Kuratu qadamin. Kuratu qadamin. So now I want to add this here. Okay, so it becomes kana la'iba kurati qadamin. Right? So this kind of gets crazy if I try to put this kind of off rule, because that means that it's a player of a ball of a foot, right? Yeah. Well, you don't say that in Arabic. It's actually don't think of it like this. It's just a way of translating. This is how I simplify things for you. I hope so. Okay, so كان لاعب كرة قدم. كان لاعب كرة قدم. So he used to be a football player. Now, let's add one more thing. He used to be a football player in his youth or during his youth. Okay, so how do you say that in Arabic? Well, the first part we already translated. كان لاعب كرة قدم. Right. Now the second part that I want to translate is during his youth. Let's start with during. During, in that sense in Arabic, when we say that something happens during, it's as if you're saying that it's within a period of time. And in Arabic, whenever you're trying to say that something is within another thing, you use the word fi. Fi. So, during becomes fi, and it's a preposition. And after that, his youth, let's start with youth, which is shabab. And it ends with kasra because it's a word that follows a preposition. And in this case, in Arabic, this is jar and majroor. Just saying. And his translates to just simply he. Ha with kasra. So it becomes كان لاعب كرة قدم في شبابه. Okay, so if you're wondering about this last addition, it's constant. It's always he. It's a pronoun. It's an attached pronoun that means his. So you just add it to the word of youth, and it just becomes his youth. Shababi he. Right. So this is it for this example. Let's move on. So in this example, we're going to see how to translate the game was great and maybe it was a great game. Okay, so the game was great. I can translate that to first, the game is great. So المباراة مباراة رائعة رائعة المباراة رائعة. This means the game is great. How do you say the game was great? Well, I add كان. In this case, it's كانت because مباراة is feminine. كانت المباراة رائعة. كانت المباراة رائعة. Now كان ends with سكون. كانت ends with سكون. And maybe I've said this before. When a word ends with سكون and the next word starts with L, you see that when you try to pronounce it, كانت كانت so it's hard to pronounce. You have to stop at the end. You have to say كانت المباراة رائعة. So to make it fluent, whenever you have a word that ends with سكون and the next word starts with L, since what's pronounced is the lam here with سكون, we say whenever two sukoons from different words meet, the first one will have to change to make things fluent, and usually changes to kasra. Okay, so this is just a reminder and becomes كانت المباراة رائعة. It becomes more fluid. كانت المباراة رائعة. كانت المباراة رائعة. It's as if, the more fluid the sentence is, the more it seems as if you're just saying one big word. Okay. كانت المباراة رائعة. Now, how do you translate then? It was a great game. It was a great game. Well, first, the word it always translates to هي. You always translate that pronoun to the singular feminine third person pronoun. And that's the rule in Arabic. Usually, whenever the object that you're talking about is inhuman, you use the pronoun that describes the singular feminine third person pronoun. Okay, so it was a great game. We start with it is a great game, and that would be هي. And then a game would be مباراة, and great would be رائعة. هي مباراة رائعة. هي مباراة رائعة. مباراة رائعة, great game. It is a great game. هي مباراة رائعة. Okay, now, how do you say it was? I'll have to add كان. كانت. كانت هي مباراة رائعة. So we need to fix a few things here. So first, let's ignore that we have a pronoun here. كانت هي, this has to end with ضمة, this has to end with فتحة, and since this is an adjective to this one, it also has to end with فتحة. So it becomes كانت. Since this does not change, it just stays. هي كانت هي مباراة رائعة. Now since هي and كانت are redundant, we drop the pronoun, and what is left is كانت مباراة رائعة. كانت مباراة ضمة مباراة رائعة. Great, so this is simple. Now what I wanted to show is that what's the difference between this and this in Arabic. It's easy to go from English to Arabic. You can follow these steps and you'll get to the sentence. But here it's funny to look at these sentences. They are really similar in Arabic. كانت المباراة رائعة. كانت مباراة رائعة. Though the English sentence is quite different. The game was great. It was a great game. So in Arabic, maybe it's not very apparent, but when you get the knack of it, when you understand Arabic very well, you should be able to distinguish between these two sentences. And it's very simple, actually. The main reason for the difference here it's a great game, and you can say that great is an adjective, so مباراة رائعة, they match, it's an adjective. but مباراة or مباراة رائعة. So رائعة is no longer an adjective, so it's not the great game, it's the game is or was in this case. Great. I hope you did not confuse you, but I'm just trying to point out how similar and different the languages are here. Perfect. So let's continue. So we want to say now, our game was great. So it's very simple. You start with saying game, right? مباراة, and add the attached pronoun for our, so مباراتنا. And let's say it is مباراتنا. We just say رائعة, and this dhamma follows this dhamma here. Okay, مباراتنا رائعة. Now we just add كان, in this case كانت, and this stays dhamma, but this has to change to fatha. So the last version of this would be كانت مباراتنا رائعة. كانت مباراتنا رائعة. Perfect. Now let's make things a bit more complicated. We're gonna just add one more thing here and say yesterday. Yesterday. Yesterday, comma, our game was great. So what changes? I just want to add the word yesterday. In Arabic, you don't just say yesterday. You have to say during yesterday, in a sense. So you have to use fi. So something that happened during. Fi al-ams. في الأمس. في الأمس كانت مباراتنا رائعة. That's the only thing that happens. So you just add yesterday adds في الأمس. Okay, just want to show you that you have to add fi. You don't just say أمس, which is a direct translation to yesterday. Okay, now let's make things more excited and add some bears to the picture. That's one bear, that's two, and let's add three. So we have three bears. And where they are? We're in the game. So I want to say that yesterday, our game, or yesterday there were yesterday. There were three bears in, or actually at, that's what I want to say, at our game. Yesterday there were three bears at our game. How do you translate that? Well, let's take it one step at a time and take what we know and leave what we don't know. Okay, so start with yesterday. في الأمس. We already said that. Easy. في الأمس. Of course, MC ends with kasra because it comes after fi, which is a preposition. في الأمس. Our game, we already said that. مباراتنا. So I'm gonna put it just there. مباراتنا. مباراتنا. Now, we want to add we want to add at. What's at in Arabic? This is a bit tricky because it depends on the meaning of at. So if you say that you are at a restaurant, that means that you are inside the restaurant. Then you will use fi. If you say that you are at the edge of something, that means that you're located at a position then you would use عند. 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 But which one it is right now? So at our game, that is not really like a location in this case. It's more like inside. So you're talking that you're inside the stadium or inside the field or inside the game. So in this case, you have to use fi. You have to use fi. Now it's a bit confusing, but the only thing that I can say is that whenever you are trying to say that something is located inside something, even if it's like whenever you say in English, you can say at a hospital, at an airport, at a restaurant, all of that would translate to fi. You'll use fi. But you want to say it's if you want to say at in the sense that it's next to or just near something, then you would use عند. I think that's the easy way of remembering it. So في مباراة, and you have to switch from مباراتنا to مباراتنا because it's after في مباراتنا. Of course, if you didn't notice so far, that what you change is either the last what you change is actually the last letter, the vowel on the last letter that's original to the word, and you don't include the letters that comes from pronoun, from attached pronoun. So in this case, مباراتنا. في مباراتنا. في الأمس, we are left with one sentence that is, there were 3 bears. There were 3 bears. What's interesting in the sentence is that I want to emphasize 2 things. Whenever you say there is, right, you use the word هناك. How do you say there are? You also use هناك. So whether it's there is or there are, use هناك. And since we're talking in the past, you have to use كان or كانت, right? كان or كانت. Good. Now, we're saying 3 bears. Okay, so 3 is a number, and it has 2 forms. Either you use ثلاث or ثلاثة. Okay, and bears is دببة. 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 Okay, now we have to make a choice now. It's either كان كانت and either ثلاث ثلاثة, and these go together actually. If you choose ثلاث, you have to use كان. If you use ثلاثة, you have to use كانت. Now remember, this might become confusing to some people. I have said before that if we're talking about some sort of an object or a thing that is not human, you usually use كانت. An exception for that is that when you are enumerating these things, and when you use numbers, there is some special rules for the gender of the number, saying ثلاث or ثلاثة. I'm going to talk about these rules maybe in the next lesson or the lesson after it. But to keep some things simple, right now I'll just tell you the choice for this one is ثلاث. ثلاث. So that means I'm not going to use كانت anymore. I'm just going to use كان. كان. So the full sentence becomes في الأمس كان هناك ثلاث دبابة. That's the other thing that I want to talk about. Whenever you enumerate something by putting a number before it, the word after it takes kasra. And this sentence is also the same form, mudaf and mudaf ilayh, the same possessive form that I've talked about. So when I say possessive form in Arabic, I just want to emphasize that it doesn't only include the sentences that means someone owns something. Okay, so it's more generic. So we can say that it's there are 3 of the bears. Okay, there are 3 bears in that sense. So here you say ثلاث دبابة. ثلاث دبابة. So the number rule maybe does not apply to the of kind of structure that I've talked about before, saying player of a ball. But in this case, just take it as a special case. And whenever you're enumerating any word that comes behind the number is مضاف إليه and it takes كسرة. So this structure is مضاف and مضاف إليه. Maybe this is too much details into the Arabic grammar, but I think it's good to get exposed right now, because we're going to start to see more and more of these as we go on and we reach using the verbs. So that's it for this lesson. I know it's longer than what I expected. I usually wanted these lessons to be less than 10 minutes, less than 15 minutes. But in this case, it might be 30 minutes because of the complicated topics that we are trying to discuss here. Thank you very much for watching. Whenever you have any question, if something is complicated, you can always ask me, either by comment on YouTube, although I'm a bit slow on following that. The best way is to contact me on Facebook or Google+, and I'll try my best to answer your question. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time.